G'day guys, just making a quick follow-up video on my Windburst auto bomber. Thank you all for the comments, all the questions. I tried to answer as many as I could. A few people mentioned in the comments that the interaction between Hidden Blade and Windburst was likely bugged. I tend to agree. It clearly states on the Windburst support gem that it cannot support triggered skills, and Unseen Strike on the Hidden Blade is a triggered skill. So in this video I thought I'd showcase some other ways to play the build that will definitely not get patched in the future. The four main skills that I decided to test were Static Strike, Cyclone, Vile Earthquake, and Vile Lightning Strike. Static Strike was the first one that came to mind, along with Cyclone. I've played a couple of Static Strike builds before, one that was focusing on proccing shockwave support, so it's a very similar setup when it comes to this build. For Static Strike, Cyclone, and Lightning Strike, we're able to use a Paradoxica to get double damage, a little bit of Chaos Pen, Strength, Intelligence, Space Crit. Alongside the Paradoxica, instead of our Squire, I had two main options. One was Wrathpith Globe for a bunch of increased spell damage based on our life, but the downside to this, sacrificing 10% of our life every time we trigger a skill, was a bit annoying. When you're mapping and constantly killing monsters, it's not a problem, but when you're just standing in your hideout and you have your automation setup going, it's just gonna chunk you down. I ended up opting for a purely defensive setup with a life on block shield, bit of strength, life. The lightning damage, if that was spell damage, it would be perfect. But you know, I just threw a few essences at this to get one that was usable. I also spec'd into a few block nodes on the tree. Attack block with the mastery to give you spell block based on your attack block. More attack block here with increased block chance based on the block on your shield. Even just with crafted chance to block on this, it has 37%, which gets us all the way up to 75 attack block and 63 spell block. The only other major change was swapping our large cluster jewel from a claw and dagger one with fan of blades to a increased spell damage one with just strength and all attributes. Ideally this would have increased effect of small passives as well, but those are very expensive, so I settled on this for this video. The points we saved from removing this cluster jewel ended up in the block nodes, and the only other change was swapping a split personality with life on it for a split personality with dexterity, so that we can actually equip our Paradoxica. Each of these skills has their own slightly different setup. Static Strike, you're going to want Gathering Winds or the Feral Bloodline for Tigers, which give you increased critical strike chance. That crit chance will help us get closer to crit cap, as we did lose some critical strike chance from our power charge generation from the corruption on a Hidden Blade. For Cyclone, we will not be using Phase Run as it doesn't really synergize, so we're able to pick up Avidity in place of Gathering Winds, which gives us frenzy generation and more accuracy per frenzy charge. This accuracy also allows us to drop these accuracy nodes here in place of a medium cluster, an additional frenzy charge, Heartseeker, or if you get a couple more levels you can put another large cluster jewel setup in. For the two Vile skills we will be using the Trialmaster Bloodline for Corruption's Embrace. This makes our soul cost way lower as long as we only cast once every 8 seconds. For the two strike skills, Static Strike and Lightning Strike, you will want the Attack Mastery for non-Vile strike skills target one additional nearby enemy. And for Cyclone, you will want to replace the craft on your rings for -3 to mana cost of channeling skills. I'll quickly touch on the strengths and weaknesses of each of these skills. Lightning Strike, you will have to map with the regular Lightning Strike, not Vile. You can't really rely on the Vile portion for mapping, but it is very, very strong for bossing, as you will see in the upcoming showcase. Vile Earthquake, the main downside was our crit chance, as Replica Frostbreath only has 5% crit chance in comparison to 8.7 and 8.7 on our Paradoxica and Hidden Blade. If you're able to solve the crit chance from maybe an increased effect Tincture or a Mage Blood setup with a increased effect Diamond Flask, then it might feel a bit better. The crit chance problem aside, Vile Earthquake did perform well. It has a very long duration and you can use the Vile portion for mapping. Cyclone was a little bit underwhelming. It definitely felt the worst out of all of the skills against bosses, mainly because you have to be in close proximity and you have much less movement speed due to the lack of phasing and due to how Cyclone works in general. However, for mapping it did feel pretty good, almost on par with Static Strike. Static Strike was the best overall. It was very good for bossing, very good for mapping. It had the closest feel to the Autobomber playstyle, and it also synergizes the best out of all of these skills with the increased duration scaling that we're already doing on the build. Having said all that, all 4 of these skills are viable, so just choose whichever one you prefer. For the following showcase, just look to my skill bar to see which skill I'm using at that current time. This is what they all look like. Static Strike, Cyclone, Vile Earthquake, and Vile Lightning Strike. Throwing a bunch of Paradoxicas into double corruption chambers looking for +1 projectile. Has eaten into my Mage Blood fund a little bit, so it might be a few days before I can get that up and running. If any of you have any questions about the build, please feel free to let me know in the comments. I'll try and answer everything I can. If any of you end up playing the build, either the Hidden Blade version or the melee version, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. All that aside, I hope you enjoy the showcase. Peace.
Must be a glutton. Slay them amongst the flames. Thunder and lightning about. The wind conspires with the flames. Time to end it. Fall before me. Feel his power. Face me. Ultimatum! Temptation! Ultimatum! Chaos, aid me! My service is finally over.
I'll take you all down with me! I'll have to stay behind. You must escape!
Your defeat.